How many they have joined?
44 students are here.
Wow.
Right now.
Wow.
So we can start.
Yeah. Thank you. I think we can start now.
Yeah, so good morning, everyone. And I would like to welcome every one of you on behalf of my team. And as ma'am has already introduced me, I'm Almas Abid and I'll be your host for this session today. So I would want to give a small brief on IC India, what we do and what we are currently trying to do. So IC India links higher education organization with schools and students worldwide. And we work with the aim of enabling students make informed decisions regarding their higher education options. So given the current scenario of COVID-19, we are committed to organize these sessions beyond schools as we are not allowed to go out. So we are actually organizing these sessions beyond schools to build an educated society which can give community responsible and ethical generation in coming years. And I hope sessions like these will help us achieve our goals. So I would now like to invite Dr. Shalini, Career Counselor DPS Vasant Kunj, to say a few words. And I would also like to thank her to giving us this opportunity to organize this session for you. So, ma'am, over to you. Ma'am, you have to unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Almas. Giving the, it's really, really great pleasure to all have you on our board. We really wanted that, yes, initially we really wanted to happen it much, much earlier, but we had our online classes happening and it was like a lot of learning for us also how to engage ourselves into our online platform. So as we really wanted Sushma ma'am on our board to give a lot of information on applications abroad for students and teachers. We had one or two sessions initially for students, but today being a Saturday, we really wanted all the parents to join so that as we were discussing prior also, I mean, it's though it's a family decision, but yes, the parents play a key role in taking a decision when the child has to go abroad or take a higher, at least in India. They are the ones who are the key decision makers that which college to join and how the finances are going to happen. So I'm really, really excited to hear from Sushma ma'am that how our entire information is going to happen. Over to you, Sushma ma'am. A warm, warm greetings from DPS Vasant Kunj. And my parents and students are definitely looking forward to hear from you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind words.
So I would like to formally invite Sushma ma'am and give a brief intro on her. That she is in the field of education for past 4 decades, and her responsibilities and assignments included pedagogy, school administration, both emotional and career-wise. She's also been the principal of international school in Bangladesh, and she was also the co-founder and as well as one of the directors of leading career counseling groups, Career Smart. Currently, she is a visiting counselor with number of schools in Delhi and around, and also Delhi University. So, ma'am, over to you now. She will be giving a brief, or I would rather say a thorough one, on admission procedures in Indian and foreign universities.
Thank you, Almas. Thanks a lot. Good morning, everybody, parents and students. I hope I will be able to come up to the expectations of both Shalini and Almas. I am not an encyclopedia. I do not profess to know everything. But yes, whatever I know, I will be very glad to share with you. And I request you all, this is not going to be just me speaking. I'm only going to do an introduction and give you a small brief on everything. But I'm more interested in answering questions.
Yeah, we will take all the questions after once we're done. We will take questions from the students. They can speak, raise their virtual hands, or they can type in their question in Q&A box or the chat box, and we'll take it from there.
Yes, that is most important, because I would not like you to go without your questions answered. Maybe I may not know a few questions, but you will get the replies whether today or later on.
We will. They can always write to us, and we will definitely get back with an answer.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Shall I start?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Dear students, especially students, I wish I could see you all. For me, who's been in schools all my life and with students, I feel lost without seeing their faces. And also the faces full of love and the eyes full of love in, where the parents are concerned. Sometimes the students don't notice it, but we do. We see, we are all parents, and we see what parents are looking for, otherwise they would not be here today. So my first topic that I'm going to be talking about is unraveling and demystifying the information regarding applications and admissions and the procedures for both India and abroad. So I'm going to give you an overall view first. And I'm going to do what is called a flip learn. I hope you all know what a flip learn is. Flip learn is going from the top coming back to the bottom, right? So the most important thing in a person's life is happiness, number one. And that happiness comes out of success. And one of the successful things, it's not only career which is important. There are so many other things, but definitely career also holds a very important role and plays an important role in our happiness. If we are successful in what we do, if we are happy doing what we do, we are happy. And if we are happy, everybody around us is also happy. So, and this happiness and success does not come overnight. It does not come by itself. It comes by a lot of self-learning and a lot of research. So when we talk about it, so we look at first, what is the child? First, the parents and the child, they have to get to know who they are, what are their interests, what are their hobbies, which subject do they pick up first when they sit down to study. It is not only the marks that they get, but it is also what do they pick up first. So whenever I meet students, this is something I always try and find out. What is it that you love doing? Of course, we have to be practical also when we look at careers. Sometimes students have a lot of dreams. Some may be realistic and some may be not realistic, or maybe practical or unpractical. So we look at all those aspects and then explain to the students that this is okay, this is the career, we do testing, and that's where Shalini is also there, so will come up to that. So how do you reach this point? How do you reach this happiness and this success in a career? It all starts in grade 9. Grade 9, in fact, in other countries, I was in an American school for 4 years as a counselor, and there we started the whole procedure in grade 8. Grade 8 was the time when, as a counselor, I would go into the class and we would have very interactive sessions on different careers that are there in the world, so that the student becomes aware. Very often they're not aware. I had a student who said, I want to be an air hostess. Why do you want to be an air hostess? Because I love traveling. I said, Beta, have you ever offered a glass of water to anybody? किसी का जूठा बर्तन कभी उठाया है? पूरी रात जागे हो? Will you be able to do that when you're not on your computer and playing games? Have you kept awake all night for the sake of studies or sake of anybody else? So I said, that is what an air hostess is all about. It is not you, it is about others. So you have to know what the career is all about. And that is what you start in grade 8 and grade 9. Becoming aware, becoming familiar with careers. You have uncles, you have aunts, you have relatives, you have neighbors, you have friends, you have Google Baba. Please find out, what is that career all about? Find out about careers. See if you like doing that work. Whether that work, doing it from morning till evening, 365 days a year is going to keep you happy. So that is the first thing that you start grade 8, grade 9. Since I think we are only starting with grade 9 students. So, all right, this is the time you have got chuttis because of COVID. You have the time. So please start talking to people, start finding out what careers are all about. And see, does it match your interest in subjects? Does it match your passion? Match both of them. That is the first aspect. Now, this is especially for grade 9 students and their parents. In today's admission procedure, grade 9 is a very, very important class. In the olden days, it was only your 12th board exams. Today, with all the private universities which have come in, they look at 9th, 10th, 11th, and the 12th. In fact, you apply before your 12th boards. So you actually have only 9th, 10th, and 11th. So this is the time that you cannot think, okay, I have my board in the 10th, मैं तब पढ़ लूंगी or पढ़ लूंगा. No, you have to start working on your concepts in grade 9. Start getting interested in the subject, not only do your assignment and your homework and just read the chapter that your teacher has taught you. You have to probe further, understand it, understand what it is all about, understand its relationship to everything around you. So the moment you do that, you will know for yourself what is it that you really enjoy doing. So for grade 9, I think that is the most important takeaway for them. 1, to understand what careers are all about. Number 2, to understand what their subjects are all about. And number 3, to understand that they have to do well, their best. Everybody cannot be a 95 percentile student or a 100% student. But at least give your best and do your best. That is what I would suggest for grade 9 students. So that is for grade 9, understanding your subjects, starting to even see what are the co-curricular activities that you are interested in, picking up 1 or 2 and excelling in them because a profile is required later on. So please, this students, I hope you've understood, especially grade 9 students, that this is an important class. It is not only about hanging around with friends or sitting on the computer and playing computer games. There's much more in life to do. In fact, 9th onwards is called high school all over the world now. You are expected to be responsible for your decisions, take your decisions and be responsible for them. It is your life. So that being said, that is grade 9. Grade 10 is the time when you have your board exam. That is also the year when you have to start thinking about which subjects you are going to take in grade 11. Now, if I talk about applications and procedures, what are the universities looking for? I would like you all to note this down, please. When you are applying abroad or in India, both, leaving out maybe DU, the first thing that they require are your academics. That's the first requirement, the most important requirement. Academics means school marks. School marks means 9th, 10th school and 10th boards, 11th very important, and then 12th half yearly, of course the board marks will happen later. So this is very important for you all. Academics, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, whether you look at the Ashokas, whether you look at Kriya, whether you look at any private university, whether you look at USA, whether you look at Canada, they're all looking, whether you look at UK, everybody is looking for your marks. So you have to give your best marks. You have to work. So academics is the first requirement. Number 2 requirement is any internal or external tests or exams that are required. Till recently, SAT was only required for mostly for the US, also for Canada for scholarship purposes. Singapore would say no, but they also look at it. If you have got a good score in SAT, they say, wow, this child is okay. So SAT is one thing which now about 28 universities in India are also giving their admissions on the basis of SAT scores instead of their admission tests. Moreover, SAT is the preparation of SAT helps you to improve your English and your math because it consists of English and maths. English being 800 marks, maths on 800 marks. So when you start preparing for your SAT, right from grade 10, you are improving your English. We think we are very good at English because we can speak a few English words or we can speak Yankee English or whatever it is, but no, that isn't so. So we need to improve our English. We have to improve our critical thinking, because there is a very big aspect of critical reasoning and thinking in that paper, in the English paper. Then maths is also another important factor. So if you start preparing for your SATs in grade, I'm not talking about, or I'm not, promoting SATs. I don't belong to the college board or anything. I'm only promoting what the students require. So English and maths, and you also learn test taking skills, because these are time bound. Each portion has a particular time. So that is one thing I would suggest, that when you enter the 10th grade, or rather than wasting your time between the 9th and the 10th, this is one thing that you can start in the summer holidays between the 9th and the 10th. Start working so that you have proper time till the 11th to become really good with your SATs, and your English improves and your SAT basics also improve. I had a student at Modern once who gave his SATs in grade 10. This student got a full score. This is at Barakhamba. And you can imagine the fun this guy had in the 11th and 12th. He didn't have to worry about the SATs. He'd already done them. Now, if one student can do that, I think we all can. But yes, I'm not saying take the SATs in grade 10. I'm saying start preparing for them in grade 10, because you have to prepare for your boards too. So the second thing, as I said, was your external exam, and that is SAT. Another requirement is, of course, the IELTS, which you can do later on. That is just the English language. When you're preparing for your SATs English, you're also preparing for your IELTS in a very big way. Only a little bit is left after that. IELTS is the test which is required if you want to go abroad. So if you don't want to go abroad at all, you don't need to take it. There is another test called the TOEFL, but TOEFL is not so acceptable in UK. So if you want something which is good for the whole world, I would look at IELTS. And this is a speaking, reading, listening, and writing skill test. And it is by the British Council. Even IDP Australia does it, but British Council does it, and you must do the academic part. So you can go on to British Council, or you can just Google IELTS and see which are the dates that it is available on, or just see the what is the syllabus for it. But you are not in a hurry to take your IELTS as yet, not in the 10th at all. So in the 10th grade, you are preparing for your SATs. You can start preparing for your SATs and prepare for your boards. That is number 2. Number 3 requirement by all and most universities abroad, all universities abroad, excepting maybe UK in such a big way, and the private universities in India, are your extracurricular activities. In one way, you are preparing your profile. They want to see who you are, not only your marks. Are you capable of doing other things as well as studying? Or there are some kids who can only study. They prefer a student who can study as well as excel at other things. Not too many, pick up a few that you are really good at. Please participate in what is happening in school. Some students think it is foolish to do so. No, that is the time when your personality is developing. And your school is giving you this opportunity to develop that personality. Please do so. DPS is known, really known, for the MUNs and for the debates and the quizzes, etc. Please take advantage of that. If it isn't there, force it on them. You should. If you are interested in something and you don't have a club in that, please go to the principal and say, I would like to organize this club because this is what I like doing. That will be a very big plus point for you. So extracurriculars, we don't look at 20, though the list in the application forms gives you an opportunity to write down 10 extracurricular activities. Each one doesn't have to be a gold medal. It's just participation also, interest also. So mainly it is what all are you interested in, what all can you do, whether it is cooking at home. Whether it is helping your brothers and sisters, that's also an interesting thing. So any extracurricular activity, please keep noting down right from now, from 9th onwards. What you did in up to 8th is of no importance to them. The next thing is co-curricular activities. These are activities connected with your academics, like projects in schools, the Olympiads, Maths Olympiad, Science Olympiads, any competitions which are subject related, they become your co-curricular activities, especially in school also. The EcoSoc, if you have an eco society, that will become a co-curricular activity too. So you'll have, this is very, very important for you. The fifth thing that all universities are looking for nowadays is community service. Unfortunately, we misunderstand this. We think community service means Rotary Club के 4 certificates ले आओ, इसके certificates ले आओ, मैंने इतने लोगों को खाना खिलाया, इतने लोगों को कपड़े पहनाए. नहीं, वो आपने नहीं किया. They are looking for community service in something that you are passionate about. Even if you have grandparents at home and you are giving them 2 hours a day in a particular way, or teaching your younger brother or sister at home because your parents are working, or even helping your parents in the cooking at home or in the house chores, that is community service. Only you have to be able to write about it. You can take pictures about it, you can show your enthusiasm about it, but you need to do it. So these are the main requirements for applications anywhere in the world. If you can look at all these, and if you can work on these, you are ready for most application forms. There are some universities like Cambridge, Oxford, Cambridge, which have extra tests and extra exams. Those you will have to sit for separately. You have external exams for law. You have the CLAT over here, the LSAT over there. Yesterday, I had a student who rings me up and says, "Ma'am, I want to go and do law in the US." I said, for US, you'll have to do pre-law, which is undergraduation first. And then if you do law in the US, coming back to India, it may not be recognized by the Bar Council of India. So you need to also find out these type of things. So when I have gone this way, that these are the requirements when you are applying to college in the 12th grade, you will be starting your applications in October of your 12th grade. But your preparations will start much, much earlier. As good as 9th grade, because that is when you're starting your extracurricular activities, working on your academics, making sure you know what you're good at and working harder and harder at what you're good at. Then taking part in extracurricular activities in school as well as co-curricular activities, taking part in the Olympiads, etc. The more you have in your pocket, the better. The MUNs, the quizzes, the debates, theater, dance, music, whatever you are good at. Maybe just leadership qualities. Maybe even if you like theater, but you're not good at acting and you're helping in the setting of the stage. All that matters. If you're good at art and you've done the whole setup of the stage behind the scenes, that is also very important. So whatever you are good at, please make sure, don't look at your friends, don't look at your neighbors' kids, parents, please look at your own kid. And you have to develop your qualities and work at them. Nobody is going to do that for you. Your parents can make you sit down. This is for students. Your tuition teachers can come and spend 2 hours and take back a whole lot of money. But still, until and unless you are interested and you sit down yourself to do self-study, you're not going to do well. Not your best. This is all your responsibility. Your academics, your SATs, your extracurricular activities, your co-curricular activities, and your community service as a human being, as a good human being. All these are your responsibilities. Your parents should not have to start pushing you. You have to think about it yourself. Now, students, how will you get into all this? Now, I think some students are not going to like me right now for what I'm going to say, but I am blunt at times. I would like you all to do what is called a SWOT analysis of yours. One is write down all your interests and passions. Make a list. Okay. Number two, your hobbies. Number three, how do you pass your time when you're not studying? When you have done this, you yourself have to see which of these will be important in your life and which of these which are distractions and creating problems for you. One very big problematic factor I have come across, which has created big time problems, are computer games, internet games, all, whether you do it on the phone or your PS4 or whatever it is. You can say whatever you like, but it is addicting. I've seen adults getting addicted, but at least they've made the careers. You have to build your career. You cannot spend your time filling up the pockets of others. I had one student, he says, why should I do my 11th or my 12th? I'm already earning $500 a month or whatever. What happens when that game gets over? What happens when you grow older and the games are not there anymore? The way the digital world is changing. Things are not going to remain the same. There might be something very new, no games, something else. Then what will you do? I've seen students had to go to psychiatrists because their thinking and their interests only got into games and nothing else. We don't want that for you. So please keep that in mind. Anything which is going to harm you, please move away from it yourselves. One other takeaway I had, I don't know if Shalini was there. Shalini, were you there at Pathways Counselors Conference?
No, ma'am. I wasn't there, ma'am.
Okay, I have there is something which I felt very strongly about and which I learned also about. I'd like to share it with the parents and you also.
Yeah, sure.
A couple of years back, there was a student, I can't take his name, who was the topper in his school, a wonderful, wonderful student. Any class teacher would like to have him in her class. Everything about that boy was excellent. Marks, extracurricular activities, behavior, everything. And this boy got admission in Berkeley, UC Berkeley. And I think he even got a scholarship, if I'm not mistaken, which is very, very uncommon over there. Now, this boy, before he went, he was an MUNer, a very strong MUNer. So all these students who were in that same MUN group, when they reached the US, and even those who were in other countries, continued their debates on WhatsApp, online. And out of them, unfortunately, this boy typed down ISIS. Within a few hours or time, he was picked up and he was put into a lone detention cell without any questions asked. And then, of course, the dean was informed. When the dean was informed, he hired a lawyer he said, this is not possible. This is a great boy. He's not like this. I'm sure you're mistaken, but in any case, you can't lock up my student like this. But they said, whatever it is, till the investigation is over, he cannot stay here then. So he was packed up and deported with a deportation stamp on his passport. You can imagine what he went through, what his family went through. And all the other students who were involved were all given warnings and were told that they would not be able to leave the country for the next 4 years. I don't know the other students, how much of that is true or not, because that was told to me by counselors of some other schools, that this was what they were warned about. What I'm trying to say is, Be very careful about what you put up on your WhatsApp. Be very careful about these relationships, etc. What you are doing, because today, whether you are applying for admissions or you're applying for a job later on, everything's an open book. You are being checked out all the time. So the best way is use all this to promote yourself. Use it positively to promote who you are, really are, what a great guy you are, how much of economics or whatever you study and what you like and what you did on YouTube. That will definitely be a plus point for you. I can't help it. Luckily, when we were young, we did not have all this, so nobody could see what we were doing in our private lives. But today, there's hardly any private life. So youngsters, please be very, very careful. So nothing to do with your parents. This is to do with you. You have to think about all these things. You should not get into any trouble in any case, in any way. You know your values are there. Please keep to your values, stick to your values and follow them, because your life is very, very important. So now sorry, I hope I have not deviated too much from the path, but this is all to do with admissions. Now 10th grade, you do your boards. Between the 10th and the 11th, or rather by the end of the 11th, you should complete your SATs. So SATs, when you sit for an SAT exam, which is SAT 1 and there is one SAT 2. SAT 1 is English and Maths. You can take your SAT twice or even thrice, and your scores are super scored. Like for example, in English, suppose you do one SAT in August and you get 650, and in September you get 450. For example, I'm just saying so. The 650 will be taken into account. And in Maths, if in August you got 800 and in September you get 750, or vice versa, the higher score is taken into account. That is called super scoring. So this is what you need to keep in mind, and you need to take your SATs, study hard, do well, and do it in the 11th grade itself, so that in the 12th you can concentrate on your boards, because by October you start your applications. You cannot wait till that October to take your SATs. So please finish them beforehand. SAT 2 is required by a large universities. Number of universities, maybe 2 subject SATs or 1 subject SAT. For example, if you're doing engineering, they might require maths and physics, or 3. So you do maths, physics, and chemistry, SAT 2. That is SAT 2, subject SATs. You can do all 3 in one day. They're 1 hour each. And believe me, our Indian students after the 11th are able to get 800, 800, 800 very easily, because our courses are very good, where the sciences or school studies are concerned. That you don't need to worry about. So if you have any specific questions for this, you can ask them later. I'm only giving you the general overall requirements that are there. So what I'm trying to say is finish all this. Your SAT 2, you should try and aim at June, because you would have already completed your syllabus to a large extent, so that it becomes easy for you. But of course, you start preparing earlier. But it won't be tough for you, I can assure you that. But each university has a different requirement, so you will have to do that. Now, grade 11, what else do? You can start this in grade 10. Start what is called research. Do not wait for any counselor like me or anybody else to do this for you. You have to start looking at universities, go on to websites. This is what you have to use your computer for. Check out the website, check out the courses that are there, check out the place where this university is. Would you like to stay in that place for 4 years? You need to be sure about that. It's very cold or very hot, or is it in the city? Is it in a rural area? How many students are there? Is it a big one or small one? Are there enough of Asians there? Would you like to be in an all-white college or all whatever university? Check out all that. Whether in India or abroad, you need to know everything. Your life, 4 years of it. What are the professors like? What is the teaching like? Are there any Nobel laureates? Do they have any research work happening over there? Start making your list. After you have researched the colleges, pick up one college 15 minutes per day and understand where you are going. So that by the 11th grade, you've already done a lot of your research, 11th end of it. You know, you have one big college list ready, not yet shortlisted, but you have a college list ready. Then depending upon your marks, you finalize your college lists, because you will get to know from there what are the type of SAT scores, what type of GPAs are the colleges requiring. So this is what you will be doing throughout, so that by the time you apply, you're already nearly ready. Now another application requirement, which is very important, and now we come to school's role and your role. Now we are talking of documentation, etc. Your requirements from you, each university will have an essay, an application essay. Why I'm talking about the application essay first? Because this application essay is what you are going to let the people know about you. Through this, they will get to know who you are. And believe me, next 2-3 years, this is going to have even more importance than the SATs. Their essays, your essays and the interviews are going to be more important, especially for the next batch, with the SATs going off, on, happening, not happening. So many colleges are saying they're going to be SAT blind or SAT optional, but they're saying if you can do it, do it. So I'm not saying don't do it, please do it. But your essay is going to be extremely important, because through your essay, you're going to show your passion for the subject you're applying for. You're going to show what person you are, if you can, where challenges are concerned, how do you deal with challenges. So when you apply to the US, there are about 7 choices of essays in the beginning. That's the common application form. So what are you going to write in that essay if you've done nothing? You've not developed your personality. You don't have any likes or dislikes. You got no passions. What did I do? I hung around with friends. I was playing computer games all the time. So what will you write in your essay? Why will they take you? They want to see whether you are better than the rest, whether you're going to be an add-on in their university. So please, this is very important. Why I'm talking of the essay right now? Because you cannot write your essay suddenly. You have to be prepared for it. Your personality is going to come out in these essays. Each college then has its own essay, own questions. Why this college? So if you've not researched that college, how are you going to say why this college? Why this course? If you've only done your school studies and given your exams. That love for that subject cannot be seen through that. Did you do a course on Coursera? Did you do an internship? Did you do a summer program in it? Did you go and work with somebody? Did you shadow somebody? Did you find out more about it? So you have a lot to do. You'll enjoy it if you allow yourself to enjoy it. And your essay will be richer when you do that. So that is something very important. Now, school role is your application form. If your school counselor fills your application form or helps you with it, or the counselor writes your counselor letter of recommendation, I'll talk about that, it holds much more importance than if a private counselor does it. Your counselor is going to write about you. An outside counselor is maybe doing some cutting, copy, pasting, or how much do they know about you? So your school's role is to help you with your application forms. You can take guidance from anybody else, but your school is the main one, the most important person in your whole admission process. Please remember that. I'm not talking because Shalini is listening to me. This is what I say to any student who comes to me. Please always remember that. So one is the application forms. One is Narrowing down your college search, your counselor can help you. This you can take help from your parents or anybody else too. Narrowing your list. A very important aspect of the school documents are letters of recommendation. I'm going to say something which you might find funny. Please keep your teachers very happy. चाहे मक्खन लगा के, चाहे उनके क्लास में आंखें बंद कर, आंखें खुली रख के सो. Let them know and feel that you love them the most and you love their subject the most. Because their letters of recommendation are very, very important. One negative point and you are out. Remember that. So you have to keep your teachers happy by showing interest in the subject, which will ultimately be good for you. So you will be requiring a maximum of 3 letters of recommendation. One is the counselor, which is the most important one because the counselor gives an overall view about you. Your subject teachers will give about your subjects. What do you do in the classroom? Which projects have you done? Do you have any team skills? Do you initiate any discussions in the class? Do you study beyond your books? You know, all that is what the teacher is going to write about. So you have to give her information. And these are very important things. And the other document that the school gives you is a transcript. Transcript is an overall mark sheet, which will consist of 4 boxes: 9th grade marks, 10th grade marks, 11th grade marks, all as they are, 12th half yearly, maybe even the first SEM or the pre-boards, and your predicted scores, because your applications go before your boards. So your school is going to predict what type of scores you will get. Now parents come and say, "Bhai ma'am, predicted scores to hum karwa लाएंगे. 90 चाहिए, 90 लिखवा देंगे." पर वो जो लोग वहां बैठे गधे थोड़ी बैठे. They are seeing your 9th grade marks. They are seeing your 10th grade marks. They are seeing your 11th grade marks. If all of these were in the 70s and your predicted grades are in the 90s or 98, they are not going to believe it. So please make sure that you study right from the beginning to the end. Suppose you're already in the 11th and you say, "Ma'am, मैंने तो 10th में पढ़ाई नहीं करी या 9th में नहीं पढ़ाई करी." कोई बात नहीं. If your graph is going upwards, that is also good. They are looking for that. If you say, "I love maths, I want to do maths," and you're getting 45%, who's going to listen to you? Your marks have to happen too. So these are the school documents which are very, very important. Without that, you're nowhere. Do not try and get them from outside, please. They will be questioned. If it's fraud, if you are found to be a fraud or something is wrong, you might get deported also, or you won't get your visa. Whatever, please don't do that. Because the people who are reading your essays and your applications are really working hard at it. When thousands and thousands of students are applying, these people who are suggesting your names at that place have to prove that they are right. So that is to do with the school. Your work is your marks, your essay, your college search, your studies, continuous, your extracurriculars, your co-curriculars, your community service. So your responsibility is much more, even when the school is concerned. If you don't do well, उन्होंने क्या लिखना है? तो अगर आप सोचते हो कि मैं तो डमी स्कूल करूंगा या स्कूल भाई हफ्ते में 2 दिन ही जाएंगे. I had a teacher who said, "Ma'am, I'm not writing this LOR for this student. I never saw him in my class except on lab days." Why will the teacher write? Do not expect that to happen. You have to be serious, then people will be serious about you. So these are the requirements. This is how the application, the whole thing happens. Would you like to ask any questions till now? Then I'll go ahead, proceed later after that. Yes, Almas.
Thank you, ma'am. Very thorough and very useful information that you have given. So I would like to invite questions from the parents and the students now. And we already have few questions with us.
Yes.
So Mr. Vikas Arora wants to know what impact we see of COVID for admissions in foreign universities, as we are totally uncertain about the future.
Yes. Okay. So the impact of COVID is the same as the impact in India. The universities are confused. They are scared because getting students across is one, of course, the airlines and all have to open, the visa sections have to open. And when you have your child going across at this time, or even by August, we do not know. It's actually a very big question mark. So for this year, now the students who are in the 12th right now and going to go will be applying only in October. So you will be looking at the year after that, right? In 21. No, yeah, 21. So for you, hopefully COVID situation will be over, but the universities will have seen the problems you have been through. They are going to be a little more lenient with you in some ways, and in some ways, as I said, where your interview is going to be concerned, they're going to be stricter, because they will say, okay, the student could not get good SAT scores because of this problem, could not do his APs because of that problem, or even school marks were not too great because of this, boards did not happen properly, or teaching did not happen, or it was all online. So they are going to check you all out through your essays and through your interviews. That said, another problem the present grade 12 is going to face, and hopefully the 11th won't, a lot of students this year are deferring their admissions to next year. That means हम अगले साल के लिए करेंगे. So you can imagine the pool of applicants will be much higher. So expectations and requirements are going to be much higher too.
There's
So
one.
you have to be prepared for that. Okay. So that is all that is going to happen right now. It's going to be online. I hope by the time the 12th grade student, the present 12th, goes to college, hopefully it won't be online. But I think we are also learning how to handle online now. Not that big a deal.
So he has one more question. He says, as you have shared the role of extracurricular activities like projects and community services besides academic, need to understand the role of sports beside academic. Is there any weightage for sports? If yes, how much?
There is no weightage, but it is taken as another extracurricular activity. Unless you are at the national or international level, that is different. You can apply through the NCAA groups where they have the sports thing. You can get in touch with their coach. Your coach can get in touch with their coach. That is one aspect of it. You will apply through that. But otherwise, as an extracurricular activity, it is like you being good at something else too. So if you are very good at sports and you're doing very well at that, and your passion for that sport comes out, naturally they realize that you're spending so much time on that and could not do, maybe go into a quiz thing or something else. That's okay. It is your interest. Sports is also are equally important.
Swayam Agarwal wants to know how to prepare for SAT.
All right, there are 2-3 ways to prepare for SAT. If you are going to start, which class are you in, Swayam?
He hasn't mentioned that. I can link one more question to this question, that Mr. Amit Rastogi wants to know, what's the validity of SAT and IELTS score? Can my son appear in 2020 and would it be valid in 22?
Yes, validation, it's valid for 5 years, though I say don't wait for that. It should not, don't keep it for more than 3 years. 2 years is good enough, I would say that. So yes, no problem at all. And what was that first question?
How to prepare for SAT?
How to prepare. Now, suppose you start preparing for SAT from grade 10. I will not suggest joining a coaching class. I would suggest going to www.collegeboard. If you can write that down, please do. .com. Register as a student. Go to the SAT tab and link it with Khan Academy. So College Board, which is the board which is conducting the SATs, has linked Khan Academy with themselves to give you free online coaching. So I would start there. SAT, in any case, the College Board site has a lot of material and resources for you. I would start there. At the most, you can buy a book. You can start with the College Board book itself, College Board SAT book, order it on Amazon and start there. This is if you're starting as early as grade 10. Even if you're starting as early as the beginning of grade 11, it is a good way to start and see where you stand. If you find that you need more help, there are people who are doing online coaching. You can get in touch with them and take their help. But remember, and I very strongly believe it, no coach, nobody can do what you can do by your own self-studies also. Even in school studies, even in this, you need to, okay, they did your coaching, but then you have to do a lot of work yourself too. Do full length tests are there all over the place. There is one thing called prepscholar.com. I like this site. There are lots of free resources there. They give free SAT tests over there, full length tests. So go ahead, do them.
So
Okay.
we're moving on to the next question. Rohan Khurana wants to ask a question. Rohan,
Yes.
go and unmute yourself and you can ask the question.
Yes, Rohan?
Rohan, please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yes, Rohan, go ahead. I can't hear him.
ma'am, how can you hear?
Yeah, now I can hear, yes.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, ma'am, if you do our undergrad from India and if you want to do a postgrad out of India, do you have to give SAT?
Rohan, can you please be more louder?
Ma'am, if we do our undergrad from India and we have to do a post out of India, do we have to give SAT then?
Okay. Now, if you are doing undergrad in India, now again, in which area, which subject are you wanting to do it in?
EU, like economic honors or BCom honors.
Okay. If you're doing it in economics honors or BCom honors, in India, you have the choices of Delhi University, yes, or you have private universities, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, all the private universities, as I told you, have had a tie-up with the College Board that instead of their entrance exam, they are ready to accept the SAT scores. In fact, Narsim Monji is also ready to accept your ACT scores, if not the SAT. So, for that reason, it is useful. Otherwise, you'll be sitting for so many entrance tests.
Okay, ma'am.
If you are ready to sit for all the entrance tests, fine, you don't need to do the SAT.
Okay, ma'am.
But the advantage is, आपने अपना application form भरा, उसमें अपने SAT scores भर दिए. You're already, if they like what they see, you're already on to the next step. That is the interview and on the spot essay or whatever it is. Okay? That is your choice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Rohan. So, Dr. Puranchand wants to know, my question is, SAT exam necessary for medical stream also and SAT 2 also required?
No, for the medical stream, they have a different, now it depends on which country you're applying to. For where, India or abroad?
So please, sir, if you can answer this question, we'll take your question. We are moving on to the next
Or
question.
shall I just answer it? I'll just answer it without that.
Yeah, sure.
So if you are applying for medical in India, you have to do the NEET. You do not require the SAT at all. All right. If you are applying to the UK or Australia, especially UK, which is good for your for medicine abroad, you will have to do the MCAT over there. There they have another exam of theirs. But today, according to the government, according to what we have heard, that if you are applying for medical anywhere abroad, you need to clear the NEET. So NEET to dena hi hai. That should be your first option. Agar aapko India mein, if you get admission in a medical college in India, great. If you're looking at UK, where the Medical Council of India accepts their course, you can come back and you can practice over here. I think you'll have to sit for one test though after you come back. SAT is not required for that.
So Tanvi wants to ask some question. Tanvi, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, Tanvi?
Tanvi, please unmute yourself.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Tanvi.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, like, I am interested in pol science and psychology. So I
Okay.
wanted to go abroad and study both of them. But also I wanted to crack UPSC back in India. So is it a good decision to make to go abroad and study and then come back, or did
Look,
I apply in Indian like DU and stuff?
so if you are sure that you are looking at UPSC, then I would suggest that you study in India only.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, because you will need to prepare for the UPSC exams. The coaching classes are best over here for it. And usually when I was working with JMC, I used to get the girls to start preparing for the UPSC exams in second year. Okay, so that you won't be able to do if you are studying abroad. Have I answered your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
So, Ms. Vandana Agarwal wants to ask some question. Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful information that you're sharing with parents. It's very informative.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Ma'am, my son wants to get into the field of being a pilot.
Okay.
But he's still not clear whether to pursue this course in India or he should go overseas for it.
Which class is he in right now?
He's in 10th grade now.
Okay.
And advertisements that we see and academies that we see, join us. In fact, even during this period, he shared with me, the link to another academy that's conducting an orientation program. So should we go in for all this? There's no pilot in our family at all. So this career is completely new to us. So can you educate us more on this, please?
All right. One, of course, when a student is in grade 10, these type of, careers like being a pilot and all is very attractive. But of course, please do not dissuade him right now. If he's interested, okay. First thing he will have to understand is to be a pilot, it is always important to take your physics, chemistry, maths in the 11th and 12th. And if you want to do the training in the right way, there are these fly-by-night academies who will say nahi koi zarurat nahi hai, but to understand your engine you need to know all this. Okay. And number two, which is very, very important throughout, is your medical fitness is very important if you want to be a pilot. Number three, today's situation, today's scenario, if somebody had asked me that he wants to be a pilot today, I would say, bhaiya, naukriyan hi nahi hai.
Nahi hai.
Hopefully by the time he finishes his course, there should be, it's a good job, nothing wrong with it. But I would look at becoming a pilot in two ways. I don't know your background, but one of the good ways of getting and becoming a pilot and getting trained is through the Air Force. All right?
Yeah.
So if you join the NDA and you got into the Air Force, and after that, I know so many people who've done it this way, who are coming to me as parents now, and they are working with Vistara or with other companies. So they got the whole training free of cost. They learned everything, and today they are in demand. That is one. And academies and all that, I would say be very careful. There is Embry-Riddle. There are some which are really good colleges. And there is one thing I do suggest to students very seriously, that because of the physical part and fitness part of being a pilot, you never know, right? So it is always good to have a backup. So things like just doing the pilot's course, I would not suggest. I'd say either go into aviation management plus pilot.
Okay.
Yes. So that in case anything happens, you are at least there with a job. Or aeronautical engineering plus becoming a pilot. There are enough of colleges which are doing both of these.
Okay. So
Okay.
if I want to explore aeronautical engineering, then can you suggest some colleges maybe in India as well as overseas?
India, there are a lot of colleges with aeronautical engineering, but in India, if you are planning to do it, I would say go in for mechanical engineering first,
Okay.
and then go into the specialization. Okay, and but if he wants to do this type of a dual course, then in that case he can do aeronautical engineering and then join a flying club.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
I hope
Thank you.
that's cleared her query. So, Vasu Mittal wants to ask some question. So,
Yes.
please unmute yourself.
Yeah, ma'am. See,
Yes,
at the end of the day, the cost benefit analysis matters the most for all of the parents.
Very good.
Given the choice between USA, Canada, and Ireland to some extent for the computer science undergrad, what will be your take?
Okay. When we look at the cost to cost part, let's look at where the scholarships are. Okay. US, you get a lot. There are enough of scholarships in the US. There are enough of scholarships in Canada too. So that if your student is good, the child is good, scholarships are there. So the costing can go down quite a lot. And but without scholarships, I would say that Canada would be the cheapest maybe, and because the job prospects, not today, I'm not talking of today, the present situation, the COVID situation, I'm not talking of that, but generally Canada would be quite cheap because even you're allowed to work in the US also and Canada also, but in Canada you can take up a job, and then after your course, after 2 years or 3 years, you can take their permanent residency also. So that way Canada turns out to be better, and 90% of the colleges in Canada do give scholarships. Even, not specific scholarships also, but even generally. And UK, the advantage of UK is it is a 3-year course, their bachelor's, versus 4 years in US and Canada. So the costing, you can see how it is. But US getting scholarships is very, very difficult.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the question. I hope this
Sushma ma'am, I just want to ask that one child was asking for UPSC. So does these foreign degrees, undergrad degrees, are recognized as a eligibility for UPSC examinations?
Shalini, from what I had understood, they are not. But some parent came and told me, and he said, yes, it is possible, but I would like to do more research on it. But I would suggest that you do your undergrad in India if you are looking at UPSC because of the coaching part specifically. And suddenly if they decide that we are not going to accept the foreign degree as eligibility, you are left high and dry.
So moving on to our next
Same, and this, and the same happens for the pilot also, ma'am, right?
Pilot, no, it doesn't happen like that, because pilot, you in any case, even if you join a new plane, a different type of plane, you have to do your training for that too.
Yeah, true. But for doing your undergrad from outside, because we had one child from our school who did his undergrad from here, and then he went to join MIT for some internship program, and there he was recruited with the professor for doing some kind of a research. While doing that, he did all number of hours training as a private
I can't hear you.
DGCA examination.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started applying for Indian planes.
Mm-hmm. So no, for that he will have to give the exam here also. That is true for whether it is in the law area, whether it is the medical area, anywhere, because that you will need to do.
So Kashish Srivastava wants to ask the question. Kashish, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Kashish. Mm-hmm.
I'm mother of Kashish.
Okay.
One of my Kashish, she's studying in your school. She's my younger daughter, and my one elder son, he has completed his 12th grade. he did non-schooling. We did a mistake. Now we have corrected in Kashish.
Okay.
Now he has already prepared for this JEE, and one exam, first one he has given, got good grades also. But at this point, he is saying that he is not interested in IIT. So I'm also a little bit confused that what else at this point I can suggest him.
Yeah, if he's not interested in IIT, he's not interested in engineering, or he's not interested in the IIT.
He's not interested. What he says is, I don't want to go in IIT.
That
I
is
want
his
to.
fear. That is his fear and worry. Okay? वो डर रहा है. हाँ.
Yeah,
कि
yeah.
अगर
That is what I
नहीं-
want to make clear.
हाँ.
कि क्या.
Naturally, yes, because the competition is so high, expectations of parents, his own expectations are there. So this is
Yeah.
one escape system that they have. But what I would suggest to you is, in the meanwhile, there are enough of colleges which are there where you can apply to, like NIIT University. In Narsim Monji, they have a wonderful 311 program, which is very, very good. Yeah, look at UPES, apply elsewhere also. You don't have to only look at IIT. He can do his MTech from, do his GATE and do his MTech from IIT if he requires, if it's required at that stage.
With one college you suggested?
I suggested if he's looking at computer science engineering, is that what he's looking
Yeah,
at?
that what his passion was, so
Okay.
I went for that. But now he is not interested in engineering. In computers, he is very much interested.
Okay, so see, you have NIIT University, which is very, very good. This is in Neemrana. Yes. You have UPES also in Dehradun. There is DIT is there in Dehradun.
He's very
you have-
dynamic type of personality. He has got
Okay.
good grades in this JEE main one. He has got above 98%.
तो कोई बात नहीं, JEE मेंस में ही उसको 50 कॉलेज मिल जाने हैं. हाँ, 50 to 100 colleges तो उसको मेंस क्लियर करने में मिल जाएगा. And let him, he's only just a bit worried and scared. Don't worry. This happens.
Okay.
This happens.
Okay.
Let him take his advanced. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, not to worry.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we
Yes,
have
sir.
a question from Radha. She is asking, is SAT required only for foreign universities or for Indian universities too? Can you please explain how to enrich our SAT?
All right. Yes, till some years back, or maybe even just 2 years back, SAT was only required mostly by US. Canada accepted it for their scholarships, and some other colleges, if you sent it and you had a good score, they were very happy with it. But in India, SAT was not required. But now in India, there are about 28 universities which are accepting the SAT scores instead of their own admission tests. So it is required in India too, but it is your choice. If you want to sit for the admission tests and you're not looking at abroad, don't worry about it.
Thank you for the answer.
But then you're closing your options. That's all that I would say.
So Amit Rastogi wants to know which sites scoring agencies are reliable to understand the ranking of US, Canada, and Singapore universities.
QS is supposed to be the best, the QS rankings, but I think the best ranking is the one which you give as a student. You please go to the university site. Suppose you feel ki I want to go to the Ivy League. It's not necessarily that you're going to get a great job because of the Ivy League. So you have to be good. That is very important. You should be happy in that university. That is very important. So the course that you want should be there. So rankings are there, but we Indians think too much ranking, but it is not of that much importance. I should not be talking personal stuff, but my son is heading one of the big areas of recruitment in the Amazon in the US. And I had a chat with him. ASW, that is AWS, which is to do with computing and all that. I asked him, who are the students that you recruit? Which university? You'll be surprised. He said, Purdue or Georgia Tech. I said, what about Stanford? He said, not necessary. So I think that will give you the answer. The interview matters. There's so many other things that matter.
Moving on to our next question, Mr. Prakhar Khurana says, my ward is interested in physics and wants to pursue general relativity and quantum cosmology. Seeing
wow.
the curriculum of India, he has been in a dilemma of committing towards IIT or pursuing studies abroad. RN in 11th standard, what do you recommend for him?
Okay, India also we have IISER, IISc, which are very good. Indian universities are also very good for physics. But yes, a student like him, if he's really, even marks-wise very high and passionate, definitely places like Stanford and all, and this thing, University of Illinois, UIUC is also very good. Rice is very good for physics. Rice is in the US. I had a student who's gone there. So physics is definitely, there are enough of universities in the US. And these are one of the few ones which are, Stanford is very good and Princeton is very good for physics. So yes, even India is good. No, IIT is also, we have integrated physics in IITs also. You can look at them too.
Next question is from Jayant Singh. He wants to know, there's a belief that admission in foreign universities require huge amount of money, but do any international Olympiads like organized by IAPT, etc., fetch us any kind of scholarship?
See, the scholarship is what you are, money is, you're talking of application money. If you, okay, let me be very honest. If your counselor feels that your parents can't afford it and honestly can't afford it, she can ask for a waiver for the application money also. Because when students are applying to 10, 15 colleges, it comes to quite a bit. That is why I say prepare your big list in the 11th, and by the 12th, you should have shortlisted it. You should be very sure where you're applying to. And what was the question? The costing. Costing, please get good marks, get into a merit scholarship. You might even get a full scholarship. I know our students in New York University in Abu Dhabi, if they like you, they are going to give you 100% scholarship. So also Yale, so also Stanford, so also Princeton. There are many universities.
I hope this answers this question.
In fact, Cincinnati gave one child, ma'am, 110% scholarship.
Correct. Yes. I had a student, parents were also given the airline ticket.
Yes, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true.
So, Prakhar Khurana has one more question. He wants to know future prospects of data science.
Wow, don't ask me this. Everybody knows it. Data science, everything is to do with data nowadays. The prospects are very good. You join it, but please do even basics. Your skills should be important so that if tomorrow data science isn't important enough, you are able to do whatever comes in. Because nobody can predict where the world is going, where the digital world is going at all, technological world and digital world. So data science today very important, but it should not be pure data science. Please go in for the basics also.
So Shreya wants to know, is it good to do undergrad in law in UK and then intend to come back to India?
If you go abroad to UK and do law, it should if you're very interested in going out to UK, no harm done, you can do law. You'll have to come back and give an exam for the Bar Council of India. It is all right, especially if you're looking at courses like international law or corporate law. But if you're looking at the plain basic law, where criminal and civil law is, then I would say do it in India.
Navya wants to know, as a science student, instead of pursuing engineering, should one go for SAT or ACT? What is the difference and acceptability of the two?
ACT and SAT are both equally acceptable in the US, even in Canada. India, only 1 or 2 colleges have said that they'll accept both. India, they're still accepting mainly the ACT, though the ACT people are trying. So depending on where you are, if you're only looking at the US, you can do either of them. And you can do SAT 1 You can do either SAT 1 or ACT, but subject SATs you will do SAT.
Pranav Jain wants to know what are the best colleges in DU for students who have humanities and want to give UPSC later on.
The best colleges in DU depend upon your marks. If you get 99%, please go into Stephens. Is it a boy who's asking this question?
I think so.
Okay, then Stephens is there, and then if it is humanities, you will have Hindu is very good, KM is very good. Today, even the colleges which we used to say ki idhar mat jana are not taking less than 85 to 90%. So there is no real answer to this question. It depends on your marks and how you study and prepare, even when you are in college.
So Oriya Juneja wants to know what is the pre-SAT and when can we give it?
Okay. Pre-SAT is what is taken mostly in the 9th or the 10th, and it is sort of a practice test, preliminary SAT. It is a practice test to see where you stand in the SAT. Unless you are going to take this very seriously, I would maybe say no. If you work for the PSAT and you take it seriously and you take the analysis of your results seriously after that and prepare for your SAT accordingly, then it is worth it. And if you are an American citizen, then there is a scholarship, NMCQ, but not for Indians. But by the 1 minute, for SAT in India, if you get above a particular score, the Indian universities have to give you a scholarship.
So Dr. Puranjan wants to know, is math compulsory for SAT exam?
Yes, there is one math and there is one English part to it. Maths is something you can't run away from, unfortunately. If you're looking at economics honors, they want maths. If you want business studies, they want maths. So, and that is why CBSE has now put in applied maths from this year, because that will make it a little different from the very, very high level maths that the science students do.
Amit Rastogi wants to know the mock test SAT site which you have referred, if you can mention it again.
One was, of course, the College Board, that is Khan Academy, and I talked about prepscholar.com. They have free resources that are there.
There's one question from the anonymous attendee. She wants to know, is it better to go for foreign university or college after 12 or after doing bachelor's in India first, then go to a foreign university?
Okay, I'm going to be very honest about this. Today, if you ask me, the biggest dilemma are students at present, the students who have cleared 12th and have got admission in universities in abroad. That's the biggest dilemma they are facing today. I have got admission in the top college. What should I do, ma'am? It's going to be online. Now, there are parents, because of the COVID, have lost a lot of money. So a lot of it depends upon the costing. Also, your finances. Studies abroad, I think today India is catching up really well, and hopefully this will make it catch up a little more. But you have to think, I would say, opt for both, apply to both, and see the situation and then take your decision. Apply in India, apply abroad, both.
Vansh Chaudhary wants to know, what can a science student do after class 12 if he doesn't want to go for JEE exam?
Well, if you don't want to go for a JEE exam, you can take pure sciences. You can go into commerce if you want to. You'll lose a few marks, but then there's a liberal studies program which is there in Ashoka and there in Kriya and there in Flame and in Symbiosis, where in the first year you get a bouquet of about 13-14 subjects and you choose about 8 subjects over there, understand them very well, and second year you choose your majors and minors. That is one way of going to it. Or you take up any subject that you like and specialize in it. You can do physics honors or do chemistry honors or maths honors. Maths has a lot of job prospects because of the financial angle to it.
We'll take more live questions now. Vasu wants to ask a question. Vasu, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, Vasu?
Yeah,
Yes,
ma'am, as you mentioned during these discussions, that your son who is the recruiter for Amazon, he said that between MIT recruitments and other universities of a lower level recruitments, it hardly matters. So there is a huge cost difference between state universities and other private universities there. So will you advise at half a cost to go for the state university?
See, what I would say, Mr. Mittal, is that you apply to both. Yes,
Yeah.
state universities are not bad at all. They are good. Again, it depends upon where, in which state you are looking at, right? And if the student is good and he's and the college is showing that they have a lot of work that they do with the students, and they have good internships, it is good enough. And where scholarships are concerned, even the top university, private universities, if the student is good, you will get fantastic scholarships, not to worry about that.
Yeah. And ma'am, I mentioned one question in the chat box also. As you said that for the fall 2021 students, it will be a little difficult as the admissions are deferred. So my common sense says, ma'am, there will be vacuum for the second year students. Like second year are promoted to third year. So they will have 2 batches for the first year students. So still you hold that that will be a disadvantage, ma'am?
I have no idea. To be very, very honest, I don't have any idea. And there's no clarity today about all this.
Okay.
I can't tell you what I don't know.
Got it, ma'am.
We have Prakhar Khurana to ask a question. Mr. Prakhar, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, Prakhar?
Yes, ma'am. So, the doubt is that is it safe to apply abroad due to COVID? The other question is how is it going to affect our future admissions? And will international students be discouraged or provided? And due to COVID, how is it going to affect the job opportunities in next 5 to 7 years?
All right, I'm going to answer your last question first, right? Because of COVID, not only in India, all over the world, the economy has had a beating, right? Now I'm talking of the job prospects, not about the colleges. So when they've had a beating, there are a lot of people in the US and every country, a lot of people who lost their jobs. So definitely they will be giving importance to their own citizens first, right? And I don't know in the US in any case there are problems. So I do not foresee, at least in the next 3 years, maybe after 4 years, if economies come up and it will be good. Where colleges are concerned, you are their economy. They want the students. Where admissions are concerned, no problem. There you are going to give them money. You are the people who are going to fill up their colleges. So admissions wise, no problem. Okay. Now where the COVID situation is concerned, for at least 1 year, I'll say at least 6 months, definitely it's going to be online. Like Cambridge University has said till summer of 21st, it's going to 21, it's going to be online. Beyond that, it will depend upon the situation. Hopefully, the vaccine will have been found. If that is found, admissions are not going to be a problem. Online or offline teaching may not be a problem if things improve.
Ma'am, but if admissions are considered a good source of income for the economy, why would they promote scholarships then?
No, because they want good students.
All right.
Okay. They are not giving everybody a scholarship.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And ma'am, but the other question was that how is it going to, like, for 7 to 8 years, if you go abroad in USA, for example, the tensions are there due to riots along with Corona. And so 7 to 8 years down the line, will they provide job opportunities to people who are going from here in next to 2 to 3 years?
In 2 to 3 years, as I've told you, kuch pata nahi hai. But yes, 8 years hence, see what is happening right now is the COVID thing, which should be over. the jobs and the economy should come back. So that is there. But yes, where the US is concerned, if you are a STEM student, that means a science student, your chances are more. Other areas, the chances are much less, that we know even before the COVID. Okay.
And like last out, I am from a maths background. I'm an undergraduate in maths, like I'm pursuing it. And I want to continue into data science and stuff. So, ma'am, how much is it beneficial to apply after 2 years, or like
Yeah,
in
definitely.
the upcoming 2 years? And is it a safe to apply
Mhm.
there, or should I consider Indian options?
See, again, I'm going to say what I said before. When you are applying, at the time of applying, please apply in India too. Okay? Apply here, apply there. 99% with your subject, you should not have a problem if you're a very good student. Okay?
Okay, okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Mhm.
Ayati Patnaik, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
I would like to do a little more of general thing about the application, types of applications. Would you like me to do that? Or should I go into question answers?
Ma'am, I think the question answers can be taken later. They can put it in the chat box, can be answered later.
Yeah.
I think for the general masses, we can definitely have the session.
Okay. So, yeah.
Time limit.
So, yes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a little bit country-wise and what the applications are all about. Okay. Is that okay, Shalini? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Let's talk. I'm going to start talking about abroad and then also talk about India in between. So I'm going to start about UK first. When a student is applying to UK, this is, you apply through what is called the UCAS. That is the common application system that they have. And the common application, for example, is already open now, but before September, it will not, they won't open, really open it. For the UCAS, you apply for 5 universities in the UK. You have the choice to apply to 5 of them. Now, how do you decide which 5? Suppose your child is applying for engineering, for example. You check out which are their best colleges for engineering, which are the colleges. Now, if the student is a 90% student and the predicted is about, you think the student will get 90, then you have to look at colleges, 2 top colleges or 2 dream colleges, 2 where he's sure, where his reach is, that means idhar to mil hi jana chahiye, and 1 you should take a little lower one, a lower one which is your safety college. If you are sure that you want to join, go to the UK. Are you clear? So this is UCAS. Their deadline is January 15th. I suggest completing the application form before the Christmas break, because after the Christmas break, Christmas ki chutti hoti hai, फिर New Year hota hai, तो time lag jata hai. So it is better to complete everything before. For UK, mostly they ask for grade 10 marks and predicted scores. Excepting for universities like UCL and LSE, they will ask you for all 4 years. So it's always better to prepare for the toughest one, then you clear everything. For UK, they ask for 1 SOP, that is a statement of purpose, which is all about which course do you want to take, why do you want to take this course, what have you done about this course, what is it, what is the passion, what made you can build up a story about it, how you got interested in this and why you decided to take up this course to do that. And what have you done? Have you done any projects in this? Did you do an extra course in it? What have you done about it? UK is very marks minded, academics minded. They are not asking, they're not interested in too many co-curricular activities or curricular activities. They're more interested in your subject, where you stood in the class, ranking in the class, the marks that you got, your passion for that particular subject. That is what UK is all about. So they will, this SOP, and then your last question in SOP, there are no questions, you have to prepare the SOP like this, is what will you do with this subject after you've completed it in their country? Why UK and why, and what will you do later on? So this is usually 550 words. You need to prepare a draft on this essay. That is very, very important. Your SOP, your marks are very important, and your essay is very important. And one letter of recommendation, that is all. They do not require your counselor's letter, etc., etc. So it is one SOP, one letter of recommendation, and your transcript, where your predicted scores are very important. Now in UK, they give you what are called conditional admissions. Now you've applied, you've sent everything. They will see if they will give you, if they like you, they'll give you a conditional admission, and they will say, okay, if you get 90%, for example, you are admitted. But if you get, they will not write it, but if you get 89 also, you may not get it. So that is what UK is all about. Cambridge and Oxford and Cambridge are different. You can't apply to both Cambridge and Oxford. You can apply to one of them, and they will be one of the 5 that you are going to be applying to. But generally, where I said you can apply up to December and even up to January the 15th, latest. But for Oxford and Cambridge, you have to apply by 15th October. And when you are applying for the UCAS, you might as well complete the whole lot. You put in all your other options. To SOP, you have to only write one. You cannot write individually for each college. That is there. Now for Oxford and Cambridge, there are some external exams also that you have to do. So there is a list of the external exam depending upon the course that you are applying for. So all that will have to be registered for and taken. This year, for example, they have the test in November. So their interview will also happen. So that is UK. UK education is 3 years. It's a 3-year program. If you're going to for post-graduation, UK is very good because you can go right from your 3 years here to there. USA wants 4 years program. So there, if you're doing a bachelor's, then post-graduation becomes a problem in the US and the UK and Canada. So that is to do with UK. Of course, you have Ireland, which we consider to be UK, Scotland, which is also part of the UCAS, but Ireland is a little different. So you apply separately for UW, University of Dublin, and Trinity College. They're also very, very good colleges. Scholarships are very, very rare in the UK, though there are some general scholarships which you can look at, the India-UK scholarships, and apply for them. When we come to the US has got different application systems. About 300 to 400 universities, they go on to what is called the Common Application Form. It's called the Common App, where you also start applying in October. I will explain, there are different nomenclatures for it. So Common Application Form, you can apply to even 15, 20 colleges you want, which are within the Common App, who are members of the Common Application Form. You can apply for a different course in each different college. You can do that. So in the Common Application Form, you will be filling that up. You will fill up your part, and then you invite your counselor to it. You will invite the recommenders to it, and they will fill up your recommendation, send your recommendation letter, as well as the counselor's letters and the school report, etc., etc. So counselor's role is very, very big where the US applications are concerned. Now here in the US, you have there are other types of applications called the coalition application or the universal application, which other universities have. The California colleges have their own application form. UCs, there are 9 universities which are into that. So that is a separate application form. Now, when you're applying to the Common App, there is an essay, as I said, that there are 7 topics you have to write for one. It is always good to write a little bit of an outline for all to see which one is the best and which sounds better where you are concerned. So you will do that. And your recommendation letters, etc., will go to each college. So when you have put in all the colleges' names that you are applying to, then you will go to that college link, and that college link will have a supplementary application. Most of them do. So each of these supplementary applications will have their own essays. Very often one question will be why this college, or whatever questions that they have. So one needs to do research about all this when you do it. Now, when you are applying to the US, you have what are called ED, you'll come across this, called early decision, EA, which is early action, and RA, which is regular action. Now, if you have a dream college, suppose you are a very bright student and you want to go to Stanford come what may, and you feel you are up to it, your SAT score is 1580, your school marks are that great, your essays are that great, your passion in the subject that you're applying is showing through and through, then you should apply for an early decision. You can only apply to one college for early decision because it is binding. Once you get an admission from here, you have to reject all the others. So you have to go in for this. It's a binding thing. And early decision is usually starting in October 15th to November 30th. And you get your result also an unconditional, unlike the UK, this is unconditional. Admission will happen by January 15th or so. You'll get to know whether you're in or not in. But naturally, you can apply for early action, you can apply for regular action colleges too. No more ED. ED will be only one. Some colleges have some early actions which are binding. Please don't apply for those. Apply for the other early actions and for regular actions. Those will, there are some of them, the deadline will be November 15th, some will be November 30th, some will be even as late as March. So very important, make your college list, which course you are applying for, when is the deadline, what are the requirements. You have to make an Excel sheet with all this. What are the requirements? What is the costing? What are the scholarship possibilities? Please put down all this. So that you know, okay, requirement is SAT2, so many SAT2s. The requirement is APs, usually AP is not a requirement. So much GPA, that is the requirement. So you need to put down all those things in your Excel sheet so that you're not caught at the last moment ki maine to ye kara hi nahi, ya mera deadline chale gaya. And since your counselor and teachers are doing for so many students, it is your responsibility to go remind them. Students who come to me, I always tell them, I'm as proactive, I'm as active as you are proactive. You push me, I get pushed. There are some students who are there all the time. So you naturally will do it for them. So you have to do that. You have to look at your own self. You have to go and remind the counselor, my deadline is there. Go and remind the teachers, they are doing so many, letters of recommendation. Please go and remind them. So this is what the US applications are all about. Where the UCs are concerned, they have 8 essays, you do 4 out of them. Yes?
Sorry, ma'am, to interrupt here.
Yeah.
I mean, a child generally comes and thinks that I am the only one who is applying, and they calculate even the timing left with the US. So please suggest them that they have to well plan in advance so that the pressure doesn't go to the teacher because they have so many other things to do.
Correct. If you pressurize, the letter of recommendation will not be of the quality you are looking for. Remember that. If you want something good, the same way as you need time, your counselor needs time, the teachers need time. For you, you are the only person. For them, there are 50 more, 100 more, 150 more. It is your responsibility. Please have your deadlines with you and start talking to them as early as possible. Don't wait for the last month. You have to talk to them before. Let them know who you are. Give them a list of your extracurricular activities, your achievements. Remind them of what you did in the class. The type of questions you asked in the class. Please do all that. It is your responsibility in a very, very big way. And please take that responsibility. So that is to do with UK and US. Canada is very much like UK, but they're not so dependent on the SAT. SAT is more or less for their scholarships. Now, if you are applying to the Ontario region, so there is the OUAC form that you will have to fill up latest by October. As soon as the form is out, please fill it up. Because it is in the OUAC form that you are filling up all the Ontario colleges that you are interested in and the subjects. This is then forwarded to those colleges. When you get a registration number and a mail from them, communication from them, then you apply to each individual college. In Canada, for each individual college also, you have options of applying to 3-4 courses, and depending upon your choice, what you want first, what is your most important one, second one, third one, and fourth one. So that if you are not okay for the first one where they are concerned, they will give you the option of going into the next one. That is to do with college Canada. They also require letter of recommendation, maybe 2. They do not have that application form, like a counselor's thing is not required over there. They need subject application, subject LORs. They need essays or questions per college, per university according to their needs. They'll ask you questions. So that you will have to do. Sometimes they might take an interview and sometimes they may not. So you have to see, okay, if I am French speaking or I like speaking French or I understand French, okay, let me apply to Quebec colleges. If I can take the cold or I cannot take the cold, where are my relatives staying? Because after this COVID, that is one thing you must be very careful about. You must have somebody there, wherever you are applying. Somebody to fall back on. You shouldn't get stuck. So this is to do with these colleges. Singapore is all marks based.
Ma'am, sorry. Ma'am,
yeah.
sorry.
Yes.
Please tell them something about Euclid exam for the Waterloo.
For Waterloo? Okay,
Yeah.
that is all right. Can you talk
Euclid.
more about it? Yeah.
Euclid exam. Okay, just hold on. Dear parents, we have Euclid examination for mathematics and computer science for Waterloo, which generally the school, if you ask for it, so we conduct it in the school itself and send the scores come from the university, and that helps us to get some scholarships for that university.
So the Euclid exam is basically depending upon the school also.
Yeah.
So they take the responsibility. So apart from that, in Canada, you have scholarships. For example, University of Toronto has what is called the Lester Pearson Award. And this Lester Pearson Award, only one student is nominated by the school. And the form is to be filled up by the school. And your form separate and this is separate. And if you get through it, it's great. You get nearly a full scholarship. But only one student per school and nominated by the school. Another school nomination scholarship is by UBC, and it is called the ILOT Award, and that is to do with leadership. Here 3 students can be nominated, and depending upon, again, there's so much competition. But if you get in, you get a scholarship, not as much as the Toronto one, but quite good. So one thing I would like to talk to you about the difference between Canadian universities and American universities. Canadian universities are national. So their levels are nearly the same throughout. They might be better in one subject due to the professors or whatever it is, but they all follow one common curriculum. Whereas in the US, it's all very state-based. Each state, for example, UCs, as I told you, they have their own system. Their own system of teaching, their own curriculum, everything will be like that. But in Canada, it is more common for all of them. So don't be too worried, mere ko McMaster's mein mila, Toronto mein nahi mila. See where your relatives are, see where you are comfortable, apply to 6 or 7 of the colleges, and then go where you get in. That is to do with Canada. Singapore, you apply later. Again, it's totally marks based. They do not even look at you till your board results are out. But you can apply for 100% scholarship, NTU, through the airlines also, and the merit scholarship. There's a Singapore Airlines scholarship. But then if you get the scholarship, then you have to fill up a 3-year working bond, which I think, why not? We feel very upset कि इस country में job नहीं मिल रही, यहाँ तो वो कह रहे हैं job करो, तो आप करिए. And then after that, they have wonderful universities. NTU is great. NUS is great. NUS Yale is very good. NUS Duke is very good. And they are lovely universities over there. Even for the art colleges, they are very great. NAFA is there, and La Salle is there. So lots of good universities there. But yes, they are marks based, definitely. Of course, arts colleges will require your portfolio. So that is to do with that. Hong Kong was a very good place to go to. Today I am worried. I am not suggesting Hong Kong right now, but otherwise HKUST for engineering, HKU, both are very good colleges to go to, very good scholarships available. Japan is very good, coming up, very safe. You have Ritsumeikan University, which has 3 courses in English, computer science, engineering being a very good one. International relations is very good. Global studies is very good. Global studies, in fact, is in 2 countries. One is in there, 2 years in Ritsumeikan and 2 years in National University of Australia, Australian National University, which is very, very good. So you can settle down in Australia if you feel after that. Scholarships are very, very good right now because of their aging population. They want students. So again, Japan is good. South Korea is turning out to be very good. UNIST is one very good college. They have got very good engineering design course over there. So yes, the world is opening up. Europe also is good. Switzerland is good. Germany is very, very good. Only they require a foundation program, you to do a foundation program first. So that is an overall view of abroad. India is, I think, today our best bet, and we are improving, and please push it to improve, so that we don't need to look outside, excepting for some other exposure. So I've given you a sort of an overview of all the applications and colleges, and anybody who requires individual or separate, it's there. Yes. Questions, please.
Question. So we have a few questions coming in, and I should actually inform all the attendees, students and parents that due to few time limitations, we will not be able to take all your questions. You can definitely send in your questions to nazar@icindia.com, and we will get back to you with an answer. So we'll not be able to take all your questions, but I will actually try to take maximum of them from the Q&A box. So there's one anonymous attendee wants to know, what do foreign universities look for in a child in the field of computer science?
All right. In the field of computer science, one, of course, they look for passion, very good mathematics skills, analytical skills. Not because you're very fond of gaming. One student said he wants to do computer science because he's very good at the computer. No, you need much, much more. You need knowledge. You should be good at computer science. You need to be very good at maths. When I went to this university in Japan, Ritsumeikan University, and I met the dean over there for computer science engineering, I asked him, what are your requirements? He says, maths. It started and ended there. So you have to be interested in maths. Today's world, I would say, even physics. And they look for intelligent students, passionate students, very passionate. And US looks for overall also. And if you say you like computer science, what have you done? Have you made a robot in your garage? I had a student in Modern called Shreyas Kapoor. I don't mind taking his name. He's great. That boy had already made a robotic pencil. He didn't like writing. So he had made a robotic pencil for himself. He'd already won awards from Stanford University. All his own hard work. He'd already won an award from India for what he had already invented. Do your Python, do Java, do coding, do courses from Coursera, go to edX. Please, the world is open to you. Please do it. The more you do, the more your chances are good for a scholarship also.
So I'll take the last question for today. Swayam Agarwal wants to know, what are my career choices with commerce with maths?
The whole world of finance. After commerce with maths, you can go into chartered accountancy, you can go into CFA, you can go into becoming an analytic person, you can become a consultant, you can become a hedge, whatever. I'm not very good at finance. Investment banking was very great, even it's still there. You can go into law after that. You can go into actuarial sciences, which is very, very great. It's risk management. So You can go into politics too. Commerce doesn't stop you from anything. So of course, finance world is the biggest part that you have in your hands. I have a student who joined LSE with law and actuarial sciences, a course in that. So that is another wonderful course to take up.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your answer. And I hope all the students and parents would have actually got very useful information for the application processes, and apart from that, the career choices, what they have to make. And I would like to thank Dr. Shalini for this opportunity. And Sushma ma'am, thank you for coming in and giving very thorough information to all the students.
Thank you very much. I would love to answer all the questions, but
I hope so. We would have more time to take all the questions. But we can definitely actually answer all the questions one more time. You can write to us at nazir@icndia.com. We will forward your questions to Sushma ma'am, and she will get back to you with the answers. And I would like to request all the parents to please give us a feedback at nazir@icndia.com. Also, Shalini ma'am, we have more webinars coming in the coming week, as you already know. Tomorrow we have with some Canadian universities, top Canadian universities will be with us. So any of your students who would like to join us, we will share the link with you. Next week we will be having Trinity College Dublin with us. So we can share all the links with you, and all the interested students can join the session. So for now, thank you. Goodbye. Stay safe.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
wait.
everybody.
I don't want to leave this opportunity of thanking Sushma ma'am.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had just planned for an hour and a half session, but I think we all stayed glued because of your passion for so much of so generously coming from you, ma'am. From the core and bottom of my heart, I'm really thankful that you joined us and gave such a lovely information. Dear parents, I don't want to leave this opportunity on this platform. Tomorrow, again, we have a session. The link and the details I will share the way I had did it for this as well. So tomorrow, sharp 10, again, there would be some interesting session for you. And if you need some country-specific more webinars, just do give a feedback or a message to your class teacher, and they will all forward it to me. So that will give me a glimpse that, okay, where all my students are really interested into, and how and to what extent I can hold these webinars, right? So thank you so much, Almaz, for making us glued here. Thank you so much, Sushma ma'am.
Thank you, Shalini. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I have loved every minute of it. Yeah, I wish I could see the parents and the students' faces.
I swear. That's we all really miss it. And you have taken my show, because generally this is the connection. I do it with my parents when I do it for the fun applications.
No, you are great that you allowed me to do it. Thank you very, very much. Thanks, Almaz. Thank you, Almaz. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, I see. Thank you. Thank you very much.